The Survival Horror Corner.
Hey, cutie pie. Welcome back. If you're familiar with my antics, I'm sure you're well aware that I'm not a big fan of those hide-and-seek simulators. You know, Outlast, The Dark Descent into Machine for Pigs featuring Slenderman. So you can only imagine my excitement when I heard that the studio that made those games is making another one. Yeah, about as excited as getting socks for Christmas. Now, it pretty much went completely ignored by me until a friend mentioned, yeah, it's good. I was skeptical. How could it be? But I'm a big man. I can admit when I was wrong. And guess what? I was pretty wrong. So sometime last year, September 22nd, 2015 to be exact, SOMA was released for the PS4 and PC. Well received upon its debut, but I skimmed right past it, unfairly lumping it in with its predecessors. You can't blame me, I mean just look at Amnesia. So hyped up, it only made the already mediocre game that much worse for me. Step back to a few months ago, the game is recommended to me and is described as not nearly as hide-and-seek heavy as those other games. Being a horror game person, I decided to pick it up. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. Yes, this is pretty much exactly like the previous entries in similar games. I knew this much. The biggest changes are far less hide-and-seek segments and an actual comprehensible story. In terms of peekaboo, Amnesia starts out slow, but once the momentum picks up, it feels like every other second you're either doing a puzzle or hiding from something. Titty monsters, dudes with blades for arms, my thoughts. They make me gay that I can get down with a chick with a dick. I mean, DP always saying nothing wrong with a little bit of boy pussy. I gotta go to bed. Outlast is literally running monster from monster non-stop the whole game, while SOMA has the least amount of encounters. Just like the games in the same vein, the gameplay is the worst part. In this case, it's by far the most with the massively reduced monster encounters and complete removal of puzzles for the most part. This excellently presented world is barren. The game comes off as a walking sim like Vanishing of Ethan Carter with the variation of what you can do. Walk around, listen to dialogue,
fuck this, fuck you!
Find part A and bring to machine B. When you do run into the few monster encounters, it feels almost insulting. The stealth and enemy AI feels unfinished. No joke. Monsters are death. Throw objects? Nope. Loud clangs? Nope. Open a door though. They're on their way quicker than the desperate dudes who hear girls are at the party.
Gotta get my fucking dick right, bro.
There's no tactics, skill, or really any involvement involved. You kinda crouch, walk around, and avoid direct eye contact. You have my favorite, lean. The stealth feels so elementary. There's one variable. Don't get seen while the enemies blindly walk around. To offset this half-assed AI, there aren't too many sneaking segments, which really makes it more bearable. Really though, the gameplay isn't the redeeming aspect, actually detracting from it, but it becomes apparent pretty quickly that it wasn't the focus. So what makes this game worth talking about? It's the rest of the more creative bits that really pull through on this. I'm the kind of guy that can look past major issues if something else makes up for it. I mean, I'm a survival horror fan. That really says it all. SOMA tells an interesting and gripping story with good pacing, except for towards the end of the second act where it slows down a bit, good characters and dialogue, and just a really intriguing subject matter. SOMA really surpasses its predecessors by leaps and bounds, and surprisingly, it was written by the same guy that wrote the first two. Really stepped up your game, homie. What SOMA brings to the table is just a really refreshing concept. Now unless A, you really have no interest in playing this game, or B, already have played this game, turn away now. I'd really hate to give away more about the actual point of the game if you didn't guess or know. What looks like a pretty run-of-the-mill participation horror game actually features a very smart, relevant, and honestly thought-provoking story, as fucking lame as that sounds. Before discussing the story stuff, I want to preface this all by saying this game was done a disservice by being marketed as more of a horror game, in my opinion. Nothing huge, I mean the game was very well received, but I think had it been more focused on being something along the lines of science fiction, I would have been much less likely to blow it off. Personal gripe aside, let's talk about the story. We play as Simon Jarrett, some guy in Canada that works at a comic book store. Nerd! He has some vague brain injury that threatens his life. He goes into some shady doctor to find a way to help preserve his remaining years. The doc starts scanning your head and suddenly, we're in this crazy foreign world. Spooky shit happens in the middle of the ocean and it's up to Simon to save his new self. At first, first, nothing is explained, which really helps add to the creep factor and disorientation. Eventually, you start coming across robots that think they're people, and really weird shit happens and keeps happening. Finally, you come in contact with the first seemingly normal person over the radio. This is Catherine, the only other sentient person that doesn't seem totally fucking nuts. After Simon explains his crazy situation to her, she urges him to get to the comm center to get better communication and an idea of what's going on. Once you arrive at comms, the first fucking bomb is dropped. After being told to meet her at her location, the comm center collapses and water rushes in. Surely, Simon is fucked. Oh wait, Simon is a fucking robot that thinks he's a person, just like that other robot.
Are you for real? I'm right here. See me waiting? Look at my hands. Hey, buddy.
So after exploring the ocean floor depths, Simon finally makes his way over to Kat. Less shockingly, she's a robot too. It's about this point where the actual story begins to reveal itself. Backing off the super detail, I mainly wanted to give some context. Kat tells you about the whole reason for this crazy underwater facility aptly named Pathos 2. Earth was hit with a meteorite, completely devastating the planet, leaving Pathos 2 humanity's last safe haven. Now, Pathos wasn't designed as a last resort option, but was initially for research. Kat tells you about her main goal and the purpose of Pathos 2, the Ark. The Ark is now humanity's last salvation. All these robots thinking that they're people is all due to digital scans of actual people uploaded to the Cortex units in them. The Ark is designed to harbor a digital world where the last survivors of Pathos would be uploaded and shot into space to live out digitally for thousands of years. The game touches on a lot of serious themes: what it means to be human, what it means to be alive, where your moral barometer lies, and a bunch of other pretentious shit. And now I say pretentious because honestly, it does come off as pretentious a couple times. There's times where you're given chances to kill semi-conscious robots, whether to kill old clones of yourself, you know, shit like that. I mean, sure, it's pretentious, but it's hard-hitting. The second dynamic is the impending conflict. The Warden Unit, or WOW for short, is an artificial intelligence used throughout Pathos, initially as support for maintenance, and was eventually tasked with preserving life aboard Pathos 2. At some point, the WOW begins to physically manifest itself through this stuff called structure gel, infesting pretty much everything in its path, also including biological material as well. Throughout the game, there are ample examples of this handiwork, which I really have to say, I fucking love it. The problem for me is the WOW as an antagonist seemed a bit weak, partly because it's not really supposed to be a threat. The WOW isn't supposed to be evil. Its main purpose was to help assist the crew on board, which eventually takes drastic measures to do so. Sure, it's the cause of all the monsters you encounter, but it doesn't really feel like there's a main threat. It's a small gripe, but it does kind of feel a bit underwhelming, I suppose. On the topic of the WOW, I love the biomechanical H.R. Giger influence design of the monsters it creates. I mean, he might not actually be an influence, but it gives you a point of reference. There are some really disturbing scenes in this game of melding of non-organic material with organic life forms. A lot of the imagery was very pathetic in nature, reminding me something straight from Silent Hill. What's that I hear? That interface sound is pretty familiar! What really makes SOMA stand out from the pack of plain-ass
Oh no, spooky!
games is SOMA tells a smart and honestly quite relevant story. Not only does it tackle real concepts, but does so without being condescending or so overtly masturbatory with technical jargon. A few instances it gets blunt, literally telling you what to think while you're already thinking it.
Christ. This is awful. We did an awful fucking thing.
But it's masked in a way that's believable. The idea of uploading your conscience to some simulated world seems plausible. Not an exactly fresh idea per se, but to me it felt refreshing, exciting, and thought-provoking, as gay as that sounds. This abstract idea of living far beyond your physical body is tantalizing, yet almost unthinkable in a way. The game touches on the simultaneous attraction and repulsion of the idea. I mean, who wouldn't love to continue living on for centuries? I'm done going on this philosophical rant. Let me level with you. I don't think SOMA's groundbreaking on any front. But does that really matter? It's good. I like the story. I like the immersive world it creates. It's just overall just a really immersive game. Now, the scores I see that it gets are really fucking, I don't know, to me are just extreme. Like, you people are throwing out perfect or near perfect scores all willy-nilly. Now, I think for Soma, it's not really even a horror game. It's not really scary. I think it's more accurate to call it like a science fiction thriller than an actual horror game. I mean, if you played these games and you like the last ones, I think you'll like Soma. But as we all know, the gameplay really is the worst part of these, so you might or might not be able to pull yourself through this one. This one isn't as jump scare heavy. You're not going to be going in this one like, oh no, I'm so scared. But if you can really appreciate a good story, I think this will be for you. But other than that, I don't know. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. But until next time, we're going on a trip to Innsmouth, baby.
I don't like your fucking face, stranger.